Hi guys, it's Geekonomics here once again, and today I'm going to bring you a little rundown on figure 3.2 from the OCR F585 pre-release material for the June 2016 A2 exam. So let's get to it. Not a lot to say in this one actually, ladies and gentlemen. You can see that this is on the terms of trade. I've already done a little video on terms of trade. I'll put a little link down here somewhere for you so that you can get a look at that in your leisure time. But let's just go through this and go through the basics of the terms of trade and just interpret what this chart is telling us. So this is extract 3. At the top of the page we are told that Zambia relies very much on its copper in order to bring in a very significant proportion of its export revenue. We know, and we're told, that the year 2000 is the base year here. The year 2000 has the value of 100, and because we know this is an index number, the year 2000 is the base year with 100. Of course, the time series does not start at 100. It does not start at the year 2000. It starts in 2001, working all the way through the time period to 2012. Therefore, you must be very, very careful when you are interpreting this chart that you calculate the percentage changes properly, because you will, ladies and gentlemen, have to calculate the percentage changes. If we take, for example, sort of mid-2004 here, let's take a dashed line down from this point here. We can see that at that point, although you can't see it because I've hidden it behind this circle, we can see that at this point the value of the index is 120. Now what we can say is that from the year 2000 to the year 2004, just part way through 2004, the terms of trade improved by 20%. We can just subtract 100 from 120. But what we cannot do, ladies and gentlemen, is we cannot say that from the year 2001 to this point, we cannot say that that is, let's call this number, let's call it 95. So we could not say that from here to here is a 25% improvement in the terms of trade. Some type of calculation will have to be done. So let's discuss how we might actually carry out such a calculation. Let's work it out for the whole time period. So in 2001, just here, the value of the index, I'm going to call that 95. In 2012, the value of the index, I'm going to call that, let's call it 185, more or less. So how do we calculate the percentage change, the percentage in this case improvement in the terms of trade from 2001 to 2012? This is how we do it, ladies and gentlemen. We take 185, we subtract the original number, the original index, 95. That will obviously give us a value of 90. We then divide that by the original number, 95, and we then multiply by 100. And let's just work that out. So it's 90 over 95. So that's going to give us approximately 94.7%. That's our answer, ladies and gentlemen. Over this time period, the terms of trade has improved by 94.7%, not by 90%. You wouldn't just say 185 minus 95, so the improvement is 90. It's a 94.7% improvement. The exam board, they're bound to have structured the data in this way so that they're trying to trick you and trap you and cause you to make the mistake of not actually doing this calculation, dividing it by the 95. Rather, they think some candidates will just do the top part and they'll think, oh, it's 90, the answer's 90. It's not 90, just be careful on that one, ladies and gents. Okay, so let's get rid of all this and then let's see what we can say about this data. So in my previous video, which I hope you all have a little watch of, I have gone through how we measure the terms of trade and so on. So very briefly, the terms of trade is equal to the index of export prices divided by the index of import prices. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I like to abbreviate that, so we simply have PX, price of X, over the price of M. I think in the exam, obviously, write it in full, but for my own theory and understanding, this is the way I like to understand it and to be able to explain it in simple terms. So now I want to just give you a little example and to explain to you what this movement in the terms of trade would mean for a country such as Zambia, which of course we know is a developing nation and a very, very, well, it's a low middle income country, isn't it? And it's not a low income country because the export sales of its copper have enabled it to develop somewhat. But it still requires development. So PX over PM. Okay, so let's say the price of copper. Let's say the price of copper is selling for, let's just use sterling here to keep things simple. So let's just say it's £10 a unit. And let's say you, as the developing nation, you are trying to bring in capital goods, and those capital goods are £5 a unit. Well, obviously in that case, you could sell one export with the receipts, with the proceeds of that one export, you could bring in 2 imports. So this is telling us how many imports the country can buy for every unit of export that it sells. If we had an improvement in the terms of trade, it would move to something like this. It would maybe move to 20, the price of the export rises, and of course this is simple demand and supply. As the demand for copper is rising, so too the price of it is being pushed up. And your imports, let's say they're remaining at £5 a unit. Well, that means in this case, you sell one export, you can bring in 4 units of imports for capital goods, for example, in the case of Zambia. And so this movement from here to here, we would refer to this as an improvement in the terms of trade because the country, Zambia, can bring in more imports for each unit of export. And that, of course, is good for a country like Zambia, which is a developing nation. It needs the capital goods in order to develop. So we can see that the movement on this data set from here to here does show an improvement in Zambia's terms of trade. So they will be able to be bringing into the economy more of the capital goods which they require for the development of the economy. There is an improvement in the terms of trade over this time period. What else can we say? Well, we know that the exports are now selling for greater revenue as well, so therefore the amount of revenues coming into the economy will probably be rising, and the amount of foreign exchange coming into the country will obviously be rising as well. We know that the foreign exchange constraint, whereby the country doesn't have the necessary foreign exchange to make the purchases in the foreign economies, because it's not selling enough goods and services to foreign nations in the first place, that is being solved as well. So this really is a tremendous situation as long as it keeps going in this direction, the improvement in the terms of trade. Now we can obviously see and we can tell, and we know, of course, ladies and gentlemen, we need look no further than our own doorstep, Aberdeen. Aberdeen, we need look no further than Aberdeen, where the price of oil has gone from, in the last 18 months, we're talking $120, $130 a barrel, down to under $30 a barrel. We know that commodity prices, such as copper, are very volatile. And we can see this on our chart here, particularly, you know, this sort of time period here, where we're talking about the global recession. Come on, pen. So this time period here, we're talking about the global recession. The demand obviously starts to dry up, and then you get a deterioration in the terms of trade,
reception,
as shown by the significant downwards movement in the terms of trade. And a deterioration would obviously be the opposite of what I've just shown you by way of numbers. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's really all there is to say on that one. Obviously, you'll be expected in the exam to comment on this data in some way, shape, form or fashion. And obviously, I think that the key thing here is that Zambia, it has all of its eggs in one basket in this respect. You know, 75% of its export revenue coming from this, and should the volatile nature of these commodity prices start to detrimentally interfere with these terms of trade for the Zambian economy, then it doesn't really have a lot to fall back on. There's no diversification there. So I'm going to leave it at that for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching. Have a look at the other video which I've done on the terms of trade specifically, and I look forward to bringing you some detail on the remaining figures in the future. Bye for now.